Everybody's trying to touch me and grab my clothes and get me to kiss their baby or whatever it is. And you guys need to understand, it was just a short period of time ago that I sat in a meeting very similar to what you guys are sitting in. No translation? Don't worry, it'll come back. Which is Spanish? Spanish, no problemo. It'll come back, don't worry. But, it was just about, I guess, 17 years ago. I was 19. This was just shortly after my mom had passed away. And I really did not know what I was going to do for a living. I'd only had a 9th grade education in school. And for those of you who don't know the background that well, I worked in a drug rehabilitation center for about 3 years. And when I first went to go work there, I was 16, and I made $50 a month. And for that $50, they gave me room and board, gave me a place to sleep. And we used to raise money for this place so that other kids would have a chance to go to this facility and get off drugs and learn a new way of life and so on. And so what I did for 3 years was basically walk on the street and go into offices and ask people if they would be interested in helping children who had problems to make a new way of life for themselves. So basically all my life I've been in situations where I've predominantly been trying to help other kids basically like myself, that didn't want to have to live the way I was brought up, that didn't want to have to live in the kind of neighborhood that I grew up in. I didn't have a great family life. My mom, I didn't even meet my real father till I was 21 years of age. And I was really into trying to see if not only I could change my life, but if I could help raise enough money for other kids to go to a place to correct themselves. So that's how I started that was my very first job. And, we were just young kids trying to make it a better world for people to live in. We weren't making any money at the thing. And then after I left there when I was about 19, I got my very first, what I would call a real job. And remember here, I didn't have any schooling background or anything, so there wasn't an opportunity for me really with my background or the people who were guiding me most of my life to ever really tell me as an individual that you could really go out and become somebody great in life. That had never, those circumstances had never happened to me. And I got a job at this clothing store. Actually, it was very interesting. It was only 2 blocks from where I ended up starting Herbalife International. And it was a place called Executive Tailored Clothes. And I was working there as a 19-year-old kid. This was just right after my mom had passed away. And I was working there selling clothes for about $1,200 a month. I worked as hard as I possibly knew how to work. And I got to tell you something, I had a great attitude back then. I had the same kind of personality I do today. You talk to the older guys that knew me when I was a 16-year-old kid. I was a nice kid. I had a nice personality. I wanted good things for myself and everybody else. And one of the reasons I'm telling you this was last night I got a telephone call when I came in at 2 o'clock. There was a note there for me. And one of the guys that I worked with in this clothing store gave me a phone call yesterday while we were in the meetings and so on. And I first talked to him about the Herbalife opportunity when we opened up our company. And think about this guy. Here was a guy who knew me when I was selling clothes, and then knew me when we started the Herbalife opportunity. Just shortly after I was in the clothing business there, I had gotten invited to my very first meeting like this. It was not Herbalife. And when I'd heard about a weight loss product and multi-level marketing, I'd never heard anything like this in my life. And the first time in my life, someone told me you could become more. But the most important thing for me was I saw a product that I could help people lose weight with and that sort of thing. And this was only when I was about 22 at that particular point. I said, what I'm going to do for the rest of my entire life is help people lose weight. And I said, listen, this is all I want to do is help people. And I'd been doing that even when I was a young kid at 16, raising money for people. But my main thrust in life was wanting to help people lose weight. And so you know the story from there. And so what I'm trying to tell you here today is you guys got a couple of decisions when you leave this weekend. The only difference is acting on some of the information that you've heard. All it takes is to go forward. And those are daily decisions that you make. Getting the guts to put on that button every single morning and going out in there and talking to people. Going out there and putting out that flyer one more time. So, if you guys want things to change for you, you got to do something different. You got to be able to just put out those flyers each and every day. And it's just a little bit at a time that you got to do every single day. Hey, look, I didn't get to where we are here today other than facing the challenges that there are every single day and just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. There's not a meeting that you can come to. You learn lots of new ideas at these meetings. You learn lots of new techniques. You learn lots of new things that you can do. But when you boil it down, there's only a few things that all of us do. We use the products consistently. We keep talking to people. We wear some kind of buttons, whether it's our Herbalife button, whether it's one of our diamond pins, whether it's our World Team pin, or whatever, or it's one of the Herbalife sweaters, or whatever it is. We do something that gets us to talk to people, okay? Something, whatever it is that you do. Put out a flyer, whatever. And we talk to people, okay? But if you take those three things there, we promote the business, obviously. You guys have gotten some great stuff from these people here this weekend, and you'll get even more here tomorrow. But out of every single successful person that you've heard, and the ones that you're going to hear from tomorrow, what do they all have in common? Consistency. That's the one thing that they've got. They heard some new information, and they acted upon it. Don't let people get you off track. There's going to be a lot of people that try to get you off track when you leave this weekend. You're going to have people that make fun of you, and you're going to have it. Anybody ever made fun of any of you in this room here? What, are you out of your mind to wear that button? What are you guys, some kind of guru, or what are you, some kind of button people? Yeah, okay. I remember Alan Lorenz, he told us one of these deals. I love the story where his brother, who was very wealthy, said, listen, if you wear that button to lunch with me, Alan, you might as well dine alone. And he said, I think I shall. So, hey, listen, there's going to be some things that get you off track. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be some people that make some fun of you, but let me tell you what's worth it. All the people that make fun of you, even the people that you get on the products, it's when they call you back and say, hey, listen, I thought you were totally out of your mind when you had that button on and you stopped me in the shopping center and all this kind of stuff. I thought you were some kind of nut. But let me tell you something, man. I got into those products, and it's only been 3 days, and I feel completely different. And then when they start losing 10 or 15 pounds, and all of a sudden their husband stops laughing at them and says, you know, honey, I thought that stuff was pretty crazy you were drinking the other day and taking those tablets, but, you know, you're looking pretty good, baby. You know what I'm saying? And pretty soon it's 25 pounds and 50 pounds, and pretty soon the husband's using the product, and the family's losing weight. And pretty soon they're buying new clothes, and they're looking beautiful, and their attitudes are strong, and pretty soon the next door neighbors are trying the product, and pretty soon everybody on the block is doing it, and pretty soon everybody's wearing their buttons, and that's what it's about, okay? That's what it's truly about. We had a guy here over this weekend that was very interesting for me. For all these years, he's always heard about Herbalife. He's always heard that we're incredible. He's always heard that we're fantastic. And this is the first time he's ever been to Extravaganza. After 11 years, we've known this guy, right? And he just could not believe it. He was just absolutely 100% blown away. And it's always that way for everybody. Everybody who thinks it's crazy, everybody who thinks that it's just a joke, there's a couple of things that really get them excited. The first one is always what? Getting them on the products. Okay, now we could never get this guy onto the products. I guarantee you after the last couple of days, he's definitely on the products, okay, from seeing all the people that are out here. Now, I don't have any idea if he's ever going to do the business or not, okay, and it's just you keep telling the story, you keep getting people on the product, and you do the best you can. I don't have all the magical answers, gang. I don't, okay. I do know this. The first thing you got to do is you got to work on your attitude. People make fun of you. Who cares? Okay? Somebody says it's not the right thing. Hey, you got to know it's the right thing in your heart. And you can only know that by using the products and getting people on the products and having them make comments back to you on how incredible this is. The only way you're going to know that is by being active and starting to make some money yourself and get someone else who starts making some money. You got to know that in your heart, gang. And you got to convince yourself. You got to work on yourself every single day. And if you'll get up every morning and you'll work on your own self, because that's your biggest job in Herbalife, okay? You can conquer anything in your life if you want to, if you just keep working on yourself. There's going to be things that happen to you all day long that try to get you sidetracked. There's going to be people that tell you no, and you're going to get sidetracked. But you got one or two choices when you get sidetracked. You can either say, oh, poor, miserable me. Why does it always have to happen to me? And you can keep whining, and you can keep complaining, and you can keep being miserable, or you can say, I'm going to make the best out of it I possibly can, and go back and talk with more enthusiasm to the next person, just like you did. You know how enthusiastic you are when you make 10 sales? It's easy to be excited then, right? Here's when you got real leadership, is when 10 people have said no, and you don't feel good, and someone's making fun of you, and things aren't going right, and 2 straight weeks you've worked till midnight every single night. When you can pitch and get your attitude by acting maybe mentally that it's going to happen, by acting like your best presentation is going to happen, like you just made 10 sales, that's when you got some true leadership, okay? There's been some real serious times in Herbalife for me when I felt like saying, hey, that's the end of the deal, okay? Why would it be worth it for me to keep doing this, okay? There's been plenty of times for me like that in Herbalife, okay? When I had my very first meeting and I had the baggie full of powder and I was telling my best friends, and let me tell you something, these guys definitely hurt my feelings. They knew I was serious about weight loss. They knew that's all I wanted to do. And when I came to them, I was legitimately asking for their help. I said, listen, you guys, we're going to do this thing, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be the most incredible thing that ever happened to us, okay? And those guys were all flakes, and they said, hey, look it, you know, this is a joke. Nothing's going to happen. You don't think that those guys didn't hurt my feelings? And I didn't think to myself, my goodness, who am I going to go to now after everybody I was counting on to get me started just said that this is a miserable joke? You don't think the next morning I had to wake up and say, my goodness, now what am I going to do? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I started passing out flyers, and I started calling people up. I started going into the newspapers, and nobody told me this stuff. I said, I'm going to make it no matter what. You do what it takes. That's what you do. See, I didn't start with a $50 distributor kit with the attitude, I hope it's going to happen. No way. And regardless of what my relatives said, or what my friends said, or what the circumstances were, by golly, I was going to make it, period. And when you got that kind of attitude, there's nobody that can get you down. There's nothing that can get in your way. And let me tell you what people want that are around you. They want leadership. I hope one of these days when we have our extravaganzas, we have to hook it up on satellite. Every single convention center, not country by country, state by state. Region by region, okay? All over the place this is going to happen. Some of you were back around in the old days, right? Came to this thing and said, my goodness, what an unbelievable thing that's happening to us here. But in the future, it's going to even be bigger. And in the future from that, it's going to keep getting bigger. And you know what? This is not a joke, gang. Take the things that you've been learning from this week and take it and put it into action. Don't think about everything. Don't worry if everything's perfect. You don't need everything perfect. Let me tell you how you get perfect. Do it 1,000 times. Do it 10,000 times. No, but I didn't know if everything was going to work in Herbalife. I knew one thing: if I put it out 1,000 times, I'd find out. Everything's not going to be perfect to you, gang. You're not going to get from where you are right now at World Team to Millionaire Team without making, I want you to write this down, a lot of mistakes. Listen, it's an impossibility to get to Millionaire Team without having lots of problems. And trust me, you'll have more problems getting to Millionaire Team than you did getting to the World Team. And you're going to have more problems than that from where you are from the Millionaire Team to the President's Team. We were teaching them this the other day in the chairman's class. I said, let me tell you something. You know, they said, well, hey, can we make the supervisor schools better? Of course we can. Can we get everybody to pitch perfect? Of course we'll try that. Can we get all the systems to be completely perfect? Well, of course we'll try that. Let me tell you something. We're going to have some problems between now and the time we get to 1.5 billion. And we're going to have even more problems than that going to 3 billion. That's just the way it is. We started the first night, and some of the people that were trying to run this place were saying, there's too many people, there's too many people, there's too many people. I said, what do you mean there's too many people? There's not enough people. My goodness, what's wrong with everybody? You know, everything that you do is just how you face it. You got to deal with the circumstances and make the best of it and go on. We had some real devastating things that happened to me and the company in 1985 that weren't real pleasant to live through. And I got to tell you something. In 1985, I learned more about my life and more about living and more about what I was doing in business through the hardest times in my life, not through the best times in my life. Because when things are difficult and when things are not good, your true character in life, how much of a man or a woman you're going to be, is that's when it really shows. That's when it shines. That's when you can teach yourself the most. That's when you can teach your children the most. Okay? That's when you can teach your downline the most. That's when you can provide it for your family. Listen, all of our families need someone that they can look up to. And let me tell you, not just our families. It starts family by family, town by town. But let me tell you what we're doing in Herbalife. We're teaching the world how they ought to be able to live. Everybody needs some guidance in this world today. My goodness, if you look at the circumstances in the world today, with the fighting that's going on, with the people that don't love each other, with the people that can't get along with things, where else can we have a room in the world today where there's so many different languages and so many different personalities and so many different religious situations where everybody can come together at one single time with one common bond to help people with better nutrition and to help people better their lives? We got to be the most outstanding leadership that's running this world. Really, this is what it's about. You know, wouldn't it be incredible in the decade 2000 that the papers wrote, we needed a new hero, and Herbalife was the company that shined? Seriously, wouldn't it be something? Because that's what Herbalife's about, is becoming a hero. God, when I saw that lady up on stage the other night getting her pin for the very first time, can you imagine how that woman's life has got to have changed? Just think about how heavy you are, double it, and think of losing it. I mean, that's amazing. Just the amount of comfortability she must feel. That's being a hero, the weight loss heroes of Herbalife. And we're trying to take that around the world, gang, and that's something that is awesome. We cannot lose the free enterprise system in the world, okay? That cannot be lost, because let me tell you something, our future generation, our children, are going to need something to look up to. And that their children are going to need something to look up to. I can't tell you how excited I was seeing this children convention here, where these kids are starting to think about Herbalife, and their parents are starting to become outstanding citizens in the community. What an incredible thing to know that our children are growing up like that with free enterprise in mind. What an incredible thing we're doing for our children. There's so many reasons to do this thing called Herbalife. Of course, there's reasons to do it for your weight loss. There's reasons to do it for your own successes. But there's so many reasons to do it for someone else too. To be able to help someone lose that weight. Listen, where are they going to go to really do that? Where is the hope today for them to use something that's going to be able to make them feel good? Hey, listen, just the weight loss business in America is $36 billion. Where are they going to go for something that's really, truly going to help them out? There's so many reasons to do this, to just help someone lose weight. You know, everybody in the world doesn't just get sick because of their weight problems. Everybody doesn't just get sick because of their nutritional habits. A lot of people get sick just because they feel miserable about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Their lack of energy, their lack of lust for life itself. Hey, while we're here, for all the years that you're going to live, to just not have the lust and the passion for life, what a miserable way to live for 60 or 70 years. Think of how much opportunity there is for you guys to just provide hope for other people. And I talk about this children thing a lot, but I'm serious. Every time when I saw those little kids, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they're, you know, yelling up, Mark Hughes, Mark Hughes, I got to thinking to myself, oh, a lot of you guys haven't heard this yet. So I'm thinking everybody was in the class with me yesterday. For those of you in the world team, I opened up the little, I don't know how old they were, but they're this big. That's how old they were. And I opened up this door, you know, because I was going to one of these, another meeting, and I just wanted to see how the children were doing. And I opened up this door, and I've never had anything like this in my life happen to me, and it just totally affected me so much, because I really wanted all the kids from the families to be able to be here. It's always been in my heart, but now that I got my own kid, being away from him sometimes just breaks my heart. But open up this door, all these little kids went, oh my God, Mark Hughes, ah! Right? And all these, you could tell, you know, those little Israeli kids, they were from South America, they were from Asia, they were from Australia. To just be able to, for them now at this age, to be around different cultures and know that they're starting to play with them and have fun with them and to be able to get along with them. Think how much more positive that is for them now than looking at the news that they see where all of those kids are fighting each other, okay? What really broke me up was this. I know when I come into these rooms, you guys know me, but I wasn't expecting it when I saw these little children. And I got to thinking, hey, you know, when I walk in home, my kid doesn't hit me at the door, Mark Hughes, ah! Right? He doesn't do that. The only reason these little kids must have done that is their parents must have talked about me and the company, and obviously something was positive in their life. Okay? And what that meant to me was those kids must be living better and more positive and having a greater time in life right now than maybe they were before their parents joined Herbalife. The Herbalife opportunity and system has got to be one of the most outrageous things that has ever happened to the world, and the beauty of it, it's just getting started. Well, here's the first thing you're going to do. Get someone their distributor kit. I'm going to run you back through a couple of things that we did yesterday just to refresh your memory. And each one of these things may sound small, but they're big things. First thing you do is get their distributor kit. If you're present with them, there's two things that you want to do immediately. The first one always is get them to use the product. Getting them to use the product is the most important thing that you can get anybody to do. Because A, they get their own testimonial, which gives them the courage and the confidence to go talk to other people about the product. So first is getting them on the product. Here's the second thing you want to do, is recognize them for being part of the company. Get them to take that new Herbalife pin. That's their little success badge, basically. It's no different than you guys getting your world team pin. And you say, listen, put this pin on your chest right now. Welcome to Herbalife. Don't miss that part of the distributor kit. Because listen, if a guy just is walking around and he doesn't even put on this button yet, he's now got his Herbalife pin on and 4 of his 5 friends ask. Don't miss that portion of the program. Write this in your notes. Little, tiny steps of success. And that's what you're trying to do. Get them their weight loss successes. Get them their little successes and goals in Herbalife. It's step by step, gang. It's not leapfrog from here to the president's team. It's little, tiny successes. Here's the next thing that you're going to want to do. Get them to get some customers immediately. Get them to get some customers immediately. Here's the reason why you want them to get others on the products immediately. This is very key. Remember, I'm taking you through a process. People have asked me, how do you get people psyched up to get to the president's team? This is how I do it. There's a reason behind every one of these things I do. Here's why I like them to get other people on the products. Because when they get other people on the products, sometimes their experiences on the products are much more powerful than the original person who got on them. That's a very important thing to have somebody happen to them in Herbalife. Because there's never been an experience in your Herbalife career that's as powerful as when somebody other than yourself tells you, listen, Mary, I don't know if you know how good this stuff is. This stuff is the best thing that ever happened to me. And when that starts happening to the person that you've signed up, then the person starts saying, there's a lot more to Herbalife than just making money. Now that's critical. Because everybody can do this for the money. Everybody can just do it for the cash. But I'll tell you what I want when I've got someone going in the business. I want the man into Herbalife. I want Herbalife into the man, not just making money, because I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of things that hit you guys on making money in the next 15 days, in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years. What's kept me on track? Do you think that other people have pitched me on money opportunities over this last year? You think so? You don't think that with the money I've got, everybody's not pitching me for everything under the sun to try to get me to put my money into? Of course they are, but I'll tell you what keeps me on track. Knowing that all these other people could have the possibility of having these products if I just work another day, if I just tell the story one more time, if I just get out there and be enthusiastic about it. I don't got time for anything else because of the opportunities that exist to talk to them about the product. So here's what I want. I want people to get others quickly so that they get the idea this is a lot more than just making money. Now here's another thing I would utilize. And don't forget about this one. It's important. When your people start losing that weight, get those weight loss pins that you can buy from the promotional catalog. Don't forget about those. When people have lost their 5 pounds, get them that 5-pound pin and get it on their chest. How many of you know somebody, how many of you have been on another diet before? How many of you ever had the person that sold you that diet after you lost 5, 10, 25 pounds personally come over to your home and say, congratulations, Mary, for losing your 25 pounds. This is the best thing that's ever happened to you. How many of you ever had that experience? Not a person in this room, okay? So, you're trying to impact people. Listen, will the person that's losing that weight say, oh my goodness, this Herbalife thing is unbelievable. That's what you want it to be, unbelievable. So don't forget those little weight loss pins. If there was ever a time in Herbalife's history, it would be this year. You guys have never had so many things for your people to go for. Everybody asks me, well, who is it that you pay attention to? Here's what I do. I tell everybody about all the tools. I tell everybody about the plan. I tell everybody that they can get as much of it that they want to. I give everybody my telephone number. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me be of assistance. And here's who I work with. The people who are calling me night and day. The ones who say, hey, listen, Mark, teach me what to do. Tell me what to do. I want to do it. That's who I'm going to work with. The minute they show me interest, here's what I do. I work with them as quickly as possible. Now, your next goal with those people is to start putting in front of them the supervisor schools. Anybody that you've got that's a supervisor, you want to talk to them about being at the world team meeting. But it just takes hard work, doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then when you get sick and tired to do it, you just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. And then when you get sick and tired of that, you just keep doing it over and over and over again. Write this one down. This has been a difficult one to get a handle on. But everything in life is no problem. And everything will be no problem if you just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. And you know, one thing I would really beg you guys to pay attention to, don't get sidetracked by all the people in Herbalife. There's a lot of people that you may have seen here this weekend, or you may be sitting next to someone who's done a lot better than you are, and you're saying to yourself, oh geez, why me? Why not am I doing as good as this person? You know, what am I doing wrong? This and that and the other thing. Hey, don't worry about that. Here's what you got to worry about: doing your best every single day, and do a little bit better than that the next day. As long as you know in your heart, and as long as you can look yourself square in the mirror and you can say, I did my best. And if you can say that, don't worry about everybody else around you. Who cares? If you can be proud about what you're doing, if you can be proud about what's happening to you every single day, you're the one that can tell yourself every single day whether you're pouring it on, okay? And if you feel good about where you're at, and the only reason I'm saying that, I've seen some distributors before that definitely got sidetracked just because some other people were up there. Feel good about where you're at, feel good about who you are, and if you want to make things better, all you got to do is look in the mirror and make them better. You guys have to realize you are the presidents, you are the chairman of the boards of your own independent Herbalife distributorships, okay? Each and every one of you have the power to be able to make things better for you. The one thing I'd like to leave you with is this. This is a very interesting thing that happened to me. I was at a dinner about 2 weeks ago, and how many of you have ever heard of General Schwarzkopf? Okay? I was at a dinner with General Schwarzkopf, and he was just an unbelievable man to listen to. And he had been talking about leadership and what it was like to be a world leader and so on. And truly, he's become an unbelievable, powerful figure to everybody around the world with the situation that we were in when we had Operation Desert Storm. Okay, everybody remembers that deal. And he was talking about what it was like to take charge and really run with things and so on. And he said he had taken us through about an hour of how he did his leadership and stuff like this, which I found very, very exciting personally, okay? But at the end of his deal, he said, I would just like to explain to you Rule 13 and Rule 14 as I end my presentation here today. And I thought it fit not only him very well, but it certainly fit me very well, and there's no question it'll fit you very well too, because you're all leaders. He said, when I was being put in charge of the entire United States service and so on, and he said it was going to be in charge of 650,000 men and women all over America, he said it was an awesome thing to even be asked to be put in charge of. But he said the man who was general just before that, he says, I only met him for just a handful of minutes. And he said, General Schwarzkopf? He said, yes, sir. He said, I would like to give you this position now. And he says, I'm very busy. I have to go on to Europe within the next month, and then I'll be in the Pacific Rim, and then I'll be over in South America, and I'll be back in approximately 2.5 months. Congratulations for getting the job of being in charge of the most proud men and women on the face of the planet. 650,000 of them are in your proud control. Goodbye. And he said, wait a minute. He says, I don't know a lot of what to do in this job. He says, just before you leave, can I please know about the Bill 17 that's been in front of the United States Congress for the last 7 years? He says, I got to know what to do about that particular subject. It's going to affect 100,000 of our people in the next couple of weeks. He said, General Schwarzkopf, he says, I got to leave. Just remember rule number 13. Goodbye. And he says, General, before you leave, I don't got any idea what rule 13 is. He says, please instruct me and guide me. He said, listen, he says, when you've been put in control, put this in your notes. When you've been put in control, take charge. And he said, wait a minute. He says, that's all I'm going to get. He says, I really got to have some advice here on these 100,000 people that are going to be affected. He said, General Schwarzkopf, he says, do you understand what I said? I got Rule 13. And he says, I can't even believe it. You're giving me this job here with all these people not knowing how to make this decision, and all you're going to give me is rule number 13? He says, I'll give you one more thing, then I'm out of here. Rule 14. He says, what's that? He says, whatever you're faced with, whenever you're making these decisions, do the right thing. And he says, it'll be all right. And he said, you know something? He says, I learned something very extraordinary from that experience. He says, I was given control of 650,000 people, and he says, here I was not knowing how to make these decisions, but I learned one thing in a handful of minutes from this guy. I had been put in control, and I had to take action immediately. And he said the next thing was, I knew we had lots of people in the system, and if we would just keep the goals right, and we would just do it, all of the people in there would do the right thing. And he says, all I can tell you, he says, lots of people have asked me how I did the job that I did, and he says, all I know is that we took control, we got into action, and we kept doing the right thing. And that's all you guys got to do. To make it through your Herbalife distributorship, all you got to do is act upon your actions every single day. All you got to do is keep doing the right thing. And how much more righter can we get than what we're doing here? Helping people with their lives, helping people change things around. We're doing the right thing.